guys, today it is time for my March wrap-up. I had a crazy successful reading month in March. I read 8 books this month, like 8 actual full-length novels, which is absolutely crazy to me. And I have to say, after A Conjuring of Light, I'm so happy that I was able to get in such a reading mood. And all of that is because I got into a really great contemporary mood, because I knew like contemporary was the only thing that I could pick up after finishing the Shades of Magic trilogy. So I picked up one contemporary and then I was in a contemporary mood for the whole month. So I read 8 contemporaries in March. That is more than I read last year altogether. So I definitely went a little crazy with the contemporaries, but I had a great time, and spring really started in Berlin this month, so it all fit very well. And yeah, I'm just gonna get into the books. First, I read The Upset of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli, and I absolutely loved this book. I received it through NetGalley in exchange for an honest review. I picked it up, like honestly, with kind of not low expectations, but like I was very neutral about it. I just knew that it had lots of diversity, and I just was really excited that even though there was like really a lot of buzz about it, that I was able to review it. I just ended up loving it so much, and I just cannot believe that the first book I read after A Conjuring of Light is another of my top books of this year. Yeah, I loved that book that much. I initially gave it 4 stars, but then when I wrote my Goodreads review, I read through the description again, and I just did this like happy sigh. I just kind of read through it, and then I was like, and then I realized like I have to give this 5 stars. It has to be on my top list of the year. It's so beautiful, but it's also simple and realistic, and I just really liked all of these things together. I did a full review on this that I just uploaded a few days ago, so I'm gonna link that in the description and in the info card so you can check that one out, but I would highly recommend it, and I obviously gave it 5 out of 5 stars, as I said. Then I read Geekerella by Ashley Poston, and this was another book that I received through NetGalley, and actually this one I was excited for a really long time. I actually found out about this book even before it had a title or anything, basically just when it was kind of released, that Ashley Poston had sold this title to a publisher. I read the description and I was like, oh my god, give this book to me. So it is a contemporary retelling of Cinderella, and it is very much inspired by fandom culture and just geeky and nerdiness, and so obviously I was sold right away, and I was so fucking happy that I got to review this. Like, oh my god, like the review gods, they were with me the past couple of weeks. So I read it and also really loved it. I did only give it 4 out of 5 stars because I think, especially in comparison to The Upset of Unrequited, I didn't have quite as many feelings towards it, and there were just a few little parts in there that dragged a little, but overall it's a wonderful book, especially if you are someone who is into like fandoms or in general just anything like geeky and nerdy. I would highly recommend this. I really liked how the fairy tale aspects were in there. I really loved all the nods to fandom culture. It was just really beautiful. You could absolutely tell that Ashley Poston is a fangirl herself and absolutely knows what she's talking about. I did also do a full video review on that one, so this is also something that I'm gonna leave in the description and in the info card if you want to check it out. But it's another one that I can highly recommend. If you like books like Fangirl, oh my god, like please read Geekerella. And then I read The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon, and I'm so happy that I got to pick it up because I don't think I would have bought this or read it anytime soon or ever if I didn't win this in a giveaway. So I'm really happy that I got it, and you probably heard about this book a lot. It's kind of the love story of 2 people just over one day. This book, and I keep wanting to make a video about it, but I never really find the right words to do it and never really find the time at the moment to do it. Maybe hopefully next week on my Easter break, I don't know. What this book was able to pull off well is insta-love. This really showed that insta-love is a thing that is bad when it's not well written. You can have a romance in the course of a day, and it can be beautiful and heart-wrenching and just really great romance as long as it's well written. Whereas you can have a fantasy story where the story takes place over several weeks, but because the romance is not well written or it's not really distinguished, that there is lots of time between interactions, it can feel like insta-love. And that's, I think, what really blew me away most about this book, how this showed that, you know, many tropes are just shitty because they are not well written. So I feel like I would highly recommend this book, even though like you might think, insta-love, that sounds horrible, but it was incredibly well done. I mean, I definitely had to suspend my disbelief a little bit because it takes place over the course of one day, but also I do feel like I'm kind of a romantic and like fairy tale-ish person sometimes, so it also wasn't really hard for me to see that this is a thing that could happen. I do feel like there's people that are just meant to be together, and they might feel like they are really like in love because of all of these emotions. Not even to mention that, you know, these characters are young, they are teenagers, and so they might not even know what like actual love feels like. Whatever, what does it even mean? Does anybody even know what it actually means? You can only judge yourself what it actually feels like, because you will never know how anybody else feels about it. So I don't even know why we keep having to talk about how teenagers falling in love in just a short time, or telling each other that they love each other in a really short time, is wrong. Because as long as they feel comfortable talking about it like that, saying these things out loud, it's fine. Oh my god, please, like, just embrace love. Like, if someone wants to tell someone I love you after a week, they are not gonna die because they say it. They will realize that maybe it wasn't quite what they felt. I personally know that whenever I have said it to people, I don't regret it at all, even though looking back at it now, I might feel like it was a little bit too fast, but I don't regret it because I was young, and at that moment it felt like that. So, can we stop doing that? Okay, woo! That's why I wanted to do a whole video about this book, because I had lots of emotions about it. But overall, I really loved it. It was just a very unique way of storytelling, and it left me a little speechless when I was finished. I was like, wow, 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 wow. I really think it's a wonderful story, and I would highly, highly recommend it. And I gave The Sun Is Also a star, 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Solitaire by Alice Oseman, and I kind of don't want to talk about this book at all, because my friends Maddie and B from Heart Full of Books really, really love this book, and I kind of picked it up because they recommended it, and I really didn't like it. I wrote a very detailed Goodreads review of this because I had lots of thoughts and feelings about it, and so if you want to know my detailed thoughts on that, I'm gonna leave a link to that Goodreads review down below as well. And this book also has quite a lot of trigger warnings, which I'm gonna leave in the description below as well. I mean, Maddie and B, they know that like I don't judge that they like it, or you know, that I'm mad at them for like recommending it or whatever, but I personally, with my personal experiences, found this book incredibly problematic and harmful, and I was not a fan. I was not a fan. I still gave it 2 out of 5 stars because there were certainly parts in it that I really enjoyed. Like, the romance in it was actually really, really enjoyable in general, but there were so many things where I just cringed so hard. And the thing is, the main character's experiences and thoughts and feelings are obviously very valid, and I think this could have been a wonderful book, but I just felt like mental illness was portrayed in a not very good way and a very problematic way. And the thing is, like, I don't know, you know, I feel like if you want to write, I don't know how to talk about this. Like, I just feel like if you want to have this main character being very much stuck in the place they are at and being like depressed, then you need other people being there for that character, so that you have some kind of positive portrayal. I don't know, like, the thing is, I actually thought of DNFing it, but I thought maybe there would be some kind of redemption arc for this whole thing, but I just finished this and I just felt like really upset about it because I didn't think there was any kind of message, except for, and that's the worst thing, the romance kind of saved the main character in a way. Like, I mean, it wasn't like, oh, this character was magically healed and wasn't mentally ill anymore at the end of it, but I don't know, there were just so many problematic things. Nobody ever acknowledged therapy in this one, even though there were like very clear things happening in this book after which people should have gone to therapy, and nobody ever really talked about it. The main character's friends are really shitty, the main character's parents are really shitty, and then in comes this boy and kind of, I don't know, I really wasn't a fan. She was very young when she wrote this book, and maybe that also has to do with it. I am 24, and maybe I just don't understand anymore how someone with 17 feels, but I just thought it was harmful and problematic, and I hate to say it, but I really wouldn't recommend it at all, because I don't think it paints a good picture. And I'm sorry, Maddie and B, and I hope you still love me. And then for the rest of the month, I finished the Geko series by Holly Smale. I absolutely love this. So obviously I already read the first and the second book a while ago, almost 2 years ago now, which that's really scary to me. And I really enjoyed the first and second book, so I don't know why it took me so long. No, I know why it took me so long, but anyway, it took me way too long to continue this series because I absolutely loved it. I gave the third book, Picture Perfect, 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I'm so glad that this was the book that I kind of got back into the series with, because I really loved it and really realized again how much I love this series in general. And yeah, I mean, I got this used a few months ago, and I'm so happy that I finally got it and I finally was in the mood to read it. And I'm so happy that I was then able to binge the whole rest of the series in one go. Then I read the fourth book, All That Glitters, and this was definitely my least favorite out of the series. I gave that one 3 out of 5 stars. I mean, it was still really enjoyable, and I obviously still really wanted to continue with the series, but I definitely thought, for me personally, it was the weakest out of all the books. I don't even remember, like, honestly, the different storylines are kind of floating around my head right now, and I don't even know anymore what kind of adventure the fourth book was, but yeah, I just enjoyed it least. But then I read the fifth book, Head Over Heels, and holy fucking shit, definitely my favorite out of the series. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And it's really interesting because one of the aspects that I really love about the series is actually the romance. I always really enjoyed the romance, and this one has the least romance in it at all. There is a tiny little bit of romance at the end of this book, but it's not even the kind of romance that I want. So I am so amazed that I love this book the most out of the whole series, even though it didn't have as much romance in it. But just the friendship dynamics in this one were beautiful. There was way less girl hate in this one, which is beautiful. The modeling adventures in this one, oh my god. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. I feel like in this book there were especially a lot of moments that I could picture really well. I wish we would get these photos from these modeling adventures, because they would be amazing, and I just imagine them so well in my head, and oh my god. Anyway, this is definitely my favorite out of the series. And then finally I read the sixth book, Forever Geek, and I also really enjoyed this one. I also gave it 5 out of 5 stars, but I didn't quite love it as much as I loved Head Over Heels, but I still really loved it. I am just in general in the series so amazed by the character development. I mean, this was definitely also another aspect why I really loved Head Over Heels. I think in Head Over Heels it was most prominent what kind of amazing character development Harriet went throughout this whole series, but that she was still the same geeky, lovely Harriet, and I'm just amazed how someone can stay so true to themselves and still go through such a big development. Blows my mind. And this one just really kind of showed that again, like, and you could really tell how sure Harriet is of who she is, and that she just feels very safe in who she is, and that just makes me absolutely happy. And I'm just so the ending, I mean, if you have seen my Conjuring of Lights reaction, the way I finished that book, it wasn't any better finishing this book. I bawled my eyes out, and the thing is, kind of, there was one sad thing happening at the end, which I kind of saw coming, and still it was so sad, but then the very end of it was just so beautifully sad. Oh my god, oh my god, I so love the series. I can highly recommend it. It's wonderful, beautiful, it's geeky, it's cool, it has so many great, wonderful, amazing characters. It has a really great, beautiful ending. One of the best series endings I have ever read, to be quite honest. This series means a lot to me. A lot to me. I don't know what else to say. I'm actually in a post-Geek Girl reading slump because I loved it so much, and I'm so amazed. Like, I really loved the first book, you know. The first book made my top 10 of 2015 list. But I don't think that when I read that first book, even though I found it like really funny and also in part sad, and you know, I was really amazed by it, I don't think I thought that I would feel this way about the series now. Like, I don't think I've ever felt like this about any contemporary books whatsoever. I did really love the Anna and the French Kiss trilogy, but the way I feel about this one, I don't think I've ever felt any thing like this about any contemporaries whatsoever. I just want to say thank you, Holly Smale, and I want to give a big shout out to Maddie and B, because I don't think without them I would have ever picked this series up, and it's one of my favorite series. Like, not just one of my favorite contemporary series, it's one of my favorite series. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm very, very happy. And this was everything that I read in March. Oh my god, this video was way longer than I had wanted it to be, but lots of thoughts. And yeah, let me know some of the books that you have read in March. Is anybody else in a contemporary mood? I feel like with spring coming on, probably many people are kind of in that mood. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!